Hey, I'm James. I'm a owner of a gym, Hit PT. I'm a personal trainer here, and I like to work out. Prior to lifting weights or getting involved in the gym, I used to be a pretty active drummer. I used to be on like almost like a professional level drummer. So I was really into music. I played with bands of all different kinds of genres around Hong Kong. I did competitions for like world's fastest drummer in the US. So that was kind of my life prior to actually being introduced to lifting weights. I think it was when I moved to the UK and there was no more sort of music scene around me. I then switched to sports, and then the gym kind of found or piqued my interest there. So yeah, generally my life revolves around this gym. This is our business. This is our passion. This is what we've built for the last couple of years, or has led to this. So basically, all we're focusing on now is our own training, our clients' training. Outside of that, it's pretty basic. I spend a lot of time with the dogs at home, chilling. Besides that, it's not much. I generally think that you've got, for me at least, there's been two types of people. You've got sort of like the people that you don't know of, the famous people that a lot of us draw inspiration or motivation from. We look to them as sources of daily motivation to help us to get through into the long term, I guess, image of yourself. But I think the other side is the people that sort of help you on a daily basis, or have had big influence on you on a daily basis. And these are people from, mentors that I've had in life throughout different careers, or people like your dad comes along, or someone in high school that's sort of been an inspiration, or an idea of what you would like to grow up to be, or if it's like certain athletes that you worked with. For me, it's a lot of the time it's going to be coaches or business mentors and people that I've been fortunate enough to work with that help me to shift and guide the direction. I don't even know particularly where I'm going. These people have helped me to get there. I think greatest achievements, I think I've always tried to accept challenges, whether the outcome for me is kind of regardless. We need to have an outcome, and an acceptable one. But I was never too good at the academic side, and I think when I kind of pulled my head out of the sand, I got around that, and academics became a strong point towards the end, which is something for me was very tough. I decided to pick a tougher degree, which is more of a language, which as I was told as a young kid, my brain doesn't work very well with learning languages, so I said I'm going to learn a language then. So I learned Mandarin. I spoke fluently, read and wrote Mandarin fluently. And then I decided to go into operating and owning a business, especially during not such ideal times, COVID and things like that. I'd say there's a different couple of challenges that have met me, and I quite enjoy putting myself in tough situations. Competitions could be similar to that. I quite like the idea of a venture in physique competition, because it's a real test of your mental fortitude. A lot of people cannot get themselves to a certain level of body fat because it takes suffering. You have to be methodical, but it's at the end of the day, whoever suffers the most gets probably the best results on stage. And time again, I've liked to throw myself back in the ring to make sure I can do that. But I think just at this point, whatever you can take on as a challenge, for me, I think is an accomplishment in itself. I'm very, very grateful I was given a good opportunity, a good starting base when I was young. My parents are extremely accepting of whatever myself, my sister wanted to do. I never felt the pressure, but I always felt there is a standard to be upheld. My dad's a very hardworking guy. He sort of had that militant style. My mom kind of encouraged anything, so I had a nice balance. And we encourage hard work, but if you failed, it's not a problem. You just sort of go back in again. I'm very appreciative of that. But I also think there's been enough people in my life that have helped me along the way without me needing, without me asking them to. And ultimately, I think it's the people around you that shape you. Parents are one thing; they get you started, but then from 18 onwards, you basically find new people that can help you. I'm appreciative of everyone who's had an influence directly on me, whether it's in my personal life, business life, personal development, education. There's a ton of people that I need to individually thank for that. I don't think I have comparative stories to people who have legitimate, mental health struggles, because I think when you listen to a lot of people talk about that, it's very deep. We all have our issues. I think there have been certain periods in life that have been much more difficult, and I think growing up, sometimes you can struggle to figure that part out, especially if you don't always have the right answers. I think I've always had a bit of a reminder, which has been my great great grandpa, who served in the World War II. He was a fighter pilot, a gunman on the back of a plane. And he basically served in the World War, came back, all he did was work, take care of my great great grandma till the day he died. And he never complained, he never had anything negative to say, he just got the job done. And that kind of passed through to my dad and the way that he lives that. I think that anything that's sort of tough, I like to remind myself of what my great great grandfather went through and remind myself that these problems are not big. My favorite quote is always Batman's, "The night is darkest just before the dawn." Sometimes things get really tough, and you got to remind yourself: will you remember this in 5 or 10 years? Will this problem still carry through in 10 years' time? Most of the time, it's a no. And if it's something that you remember, it might be a good story to tell. I think at this point in my life, it's probably the most purposeful. As personal trainers, we want to help people. It's part of the sort of the cheesy answer that we always get asked, like, why do you want to be a personal trainer? But the fact is, like, when you have knowledge or ability to help someone, we want to help more and more people. Now that we're at a point where we've opened a gym where we can extend our sort of systems or beliefs into more trainers, we can help more people. This is not just helping those people who are looking to come in for personal training. It's helping people to become better coaches, develop themselves in a higher level of career that may have not been able to achieve before. To have a little bit of influence on that for people is absolutely the best thing. I think before in life you look towards, like, when do I get to retirement where I don't have to work ever again? Now it's like, I don't ever want to not do what I'm doing. And it's such a different outlook to come to work and actually love everything about what's going on. And I couldn't spend a few days away from the gym without thinking I want to be back in the gym. So I think right now, this is the best time in my life. I guess I haven't been given like a punchline advice. I think it's been a collective of many different people's advice. And I think a lot of it comes down to your ability to accept defeat or accept failure. I think a lot of people take their failures too personally, and they think everyone is watching and waiting for a failure and they're waiting to point their fingers and laugh. I think that's the way that we view that. But whenever I view an athlete or a celebrity or whoever is high level in business or something, the amount of times that they try something, fail, and they just kind of pick themselves up and can continue going has been the most eye-opening experience. And I think you gotta fail many times to get used to that, comfortable being uncomfortable, putting yourself in the limelight. But I think the best piece of sort of overall advice that I've taken from these people is, don't be afraid to put yourself in situations you're uncomfortable with, or putting some risk into the situation, putting something on the line, and not knowing the outcome. Sometimes it's nice to know as much as you can, but if you can just put yourself out there and see what happens, more good things will come from that. And I think that's important that people understand that.